As you can see, I'm facing the Andaman Sea and it's rather choppy. Temperatures are in excess of 38 degrees Celsius. It's exceedingly hot. But because the subject is a hot one, I thought it's a good idea to speak about it. My name is GK Ganesan and this is GKTV. And the question we are discussing today is whether or not Najib will lose his parliamentary seat after his conviction yesterday. If he loses, what is to become of the political stability of the nation? Will the government change? I think the answer to all of those questions is a no. Why is that? The first thing that we have to do is to consider what is the effect of yesterday's conviction on Najib. This question is important because the parliamentary strength between two opposing parties is evenly balanced right now. We have 222 seats in parliament. If we discount the two deputy speakers, that leaves 220. So we've got 110 on the one side and 110 on the other side. So will YB Najib's conviction make the Perikatan National Government lose one seat and cause problems? I don't think the answer is yes. I think the answer is no. Why is that? Well, I think we need to look at about 5 different issues. Number 1 is disqualification. Number 2, when does disqualification take effect? Number 3, what is the effect of any appeal that Najib has got? Number 4, what is the effect of a royal pardon? And number 5, the passage of time. The first one, under Article 48 of our Federal Constitution, a person is disqualified from being an MP. 2 conditions, and both conditions must be satisfied. The one is he has been convicted of an offence and he has been imprisoned for a term of not less than 2 years and of a fine of not less than 2,000 ringgit, and he hasn't received any pardon if he has been convicted for 1 year. Now, when does the disqualification period start? Well, Article 48, subclause 4 says disqualification starts 14 days from the date on which he was convicted and sentenced. So, assuming he was convicted on a Monday and he was sentenced on a Thursday, then 14 days starts from a Thursday. So, the time starts from today, because yesterday was the conviction and sentence. Najib, by any account, has not been disqualified as an MP this minute. Now, he can also be removed from disqualification if there has been a royal pardon. If you read Articles 48, subclause 3 with subclause 4, pardon him and he becomes qualified again. However, if nothing happens, then 5 years from the date on which Najib is released from prison, he becomes qualified again to stand as an MP. Or 5 years from the date on which the fine was paid. But let's deal with his appeal. The moment Najib is convicted and sentenced, he's got 14 days. If before the 14 days expires, he files an appeal, then he is not disqualified until his appeal is heard and disposed of. Now, therefore, he cannot be disqualified for 2 reasons. He's already got a stay order yesterday. Even if he hadn't gotten a stay order, he cannot be disqualified because the moment he files an appeal, he has time. So if the appeal takes 3 months, then for 3 months, he cannot be disqualified. If the judges take an extra month in order to give a decision, then for an extra month he cannot be disqualified. Assuming his appeal is heard in the Court of Appeal and that appeal is dismissed and then he appeals to the federal court, the appeal process is still on. And therefore, if we interpret Article 48 liberally, then Najib still has got time to go up to the federal court. So perhaps it may take between 4 and 6 months for the matter to reach the Court of Appeal. If parties complete their arguments between 4 and 6 months and nobody takes an adjournment, and if Najib loses the Court of Appeal, then he has an opportunity to go to the Federal Court. That may take another 4 to 6 months. So we are not looking at anything prejudicial against Najib for another year at least. And that depends on how busy the courts are. It's of course entirely possible for the appeal to be brought forward if it is a matter of national interest. But because of the MCO, most of the appeals were postponed for about 2 to 3 months. And there are all these other pending appeals in relation to other criminal matters. And therefore the Chief Justice will have to exercise discretion whether or not the matter should be brought forward and heard as a matter of urgency. But to answer the question, Najib, until his appeal is heard and disposed of, is not disqualified as an MP. But if at all levels he loses and the appeal is heard and disposed of and the conviction is upheld, then he loses his position as an MP. But there is a residual clause. His Majesty the King may grant him a reprieve, a pardon, in which event it's as if the crime didn't take place. And therefore, there's no real danger of any prejudice befalling Najib insofar as his parliamentary seat is concerned. I've got to thank a friend of mine called Addi who set up this whole thing. And I've got to thank another friend of mine called Vira. And I've got some friends in a company called NAAM who made it all possible, to whom I express my gratitude. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Goodbye.